Panna, wisdom. Panna means wisdom. In the Noble Eightfold Path, Panna is made up of two factors: right view, samaditi, and right resolve, sammasankappo. Panna is the starting point as well as the culmination of the practice that leads to final liberation from samsara. Right view. The causes of right view is the worldly right view of karma vipaka. Having this view means we are at least aware that our actions come with certain consequences, and that we are responsible for our choices and actions. For the beginner who walks the Buddhist path, right view refers to the wisdom of recognizing the truth of the Buddha's teachings and the resolve to put those teachings into practice. The beginner does not know nor see the truth yet, but he has enough reasoning ability to recognize and believe in the Buddha's teachings. He has faith in the Dhamma. As he puts his beginner's mundane right view into practice, with the right resolve and practice of the rest of the factors in the Noble Eightfold Path, he will eventually achieve some level of calmness, clarity, and concentration of the mind to be able to recognize the fallacy of identity view, which is a belief in the concept of a permanent, non-changing self. At this point, he will attain the Dhamma eye and enter the stream of the Aryas. From here on, his mundane right view ends and the supramundane right view begins. Here, with the supramundane right view, wisdom refers to seeing things as they really are. That is to say, knowing and seeing the three characteristics of all phenomena: impermanence, sufferings, and not-self. It is knowing and seeing the Four Noble Truths of suffering, the origin of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and the path leading to the cessation of suffering. According to Majjhima Nikaya number 43, there are two conditions for the arising of right view: the voice of another and appropriate attention, or yoniso manasikara. During the time of the Buddha, the Dhamma is taught and transmitted verbally, thus the condition for the voice of another. Today, we can learn the Dhamma not just from listening to a Dhamma talk, but also from printed books and other digital products. Yoniso manasikara, or appropriate attention, is also translated as clear comprehension. This is the ability of the mind to focus, analyze, and fully understand the Dhamma. During the Buddha's time, there were already many seekers of truth who had attained clear, calm, and concentrated mind through extensive meditation practice. These people, when they listen to the Buddha's teachings, can have this appropriate attention that led to a breakthrough in their understanding of the Dhamma. Many listeners actually gain enlightenment in this way, simply by listening to the Dhamma, because of the quality of their mind. Importance of right view. Right view refers to seeing things as they really are. It specifically refers to the Four Noble Truths of suffering, origin of suffering, cessation of suffering, and the path leading to the cessation of suffering. Right view also refers to seeing impermanence, sufferings, and not-self in all phenomena. In practice, this means the ability to see through the fallacy of identity view. It means seeing the five aggregates of body and mind as they really are: impermanent, suffering, and not-self. Going beyond the self takes us from the mundane perspective to the supramundane perspective. Right view is of extreme importance because a wrong view will lead us down the wrong path, resulting in unskillful thinking, speech, and action, and livelihood that ends in sufferings. This is the lot of the worldlings. Wrong view leads us to wrong priorities, wrong values, and ultimately wrong path that leads not to happiness but suffering. Right view, on the other hand, when practiced properly, leads to skillful thoughts, speech, action, livelihood, effort, mindfulness, and concentration. that will eventually result in liberation from sufferings and the samsara. Right resolve. When one has right view, right thought, or right resolve, or sometimes also called right aspiration, right intention, or right attitude, automatically follows. According to Samyutta Nikaya 45.8, a person with the right resolve has the right resolve on renunciation, on freedom from ill will, and on harmlessness. He renounces greed, lobha, frees himself from ill will, dosa, and cultivates harmlessness through overcoming delusion or moha. Thus, he cultivates virtue, sila, and concentration, samadhi, through right thoughts as a result of right view, which culminates in the attainment of wisdom, Panna. Wisdom. As a lay Buddhist, we know sila pretty well, as it is spelled out in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th factors of the Noble Eightfold Path, namely right speech, right action, and right livelihood. We also know it from the 5 precepts. Likewise, it is quite clear that samadhi cultivation must culminate through the practice of right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration, in at least the 4th jhana, for it to be considered perfect samadhi, where the mind is clear, calm, and concentrated enough for it to see things as they really are. From here, the progression to Panna is spelled out in Anguttara Nikaya 10.1, where the Buddha, in answering Ananda's questions on the benefits of sila, pointed out that good virtues of moral conduct leads to gladness, which leads to joy or piti, which leads to tranquility of the body, which leads to happiness or sukha, which leads to a concentrated mind, which leads to seeing things as they really are, which leads to revulsion, which leads to dispassion, which leads finally to liberation. In this progression, we can see how the practice of virtues leads to the various jhanic factors that eventually culminate in wisdom and liberation. Just in case you might think that the step from seeing things as they really are to liberation is just a few steps away, let me refer you to the Ratta Vinita Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya number 24. In this Majjhima Nikaya 24, Venerable Punya Mantaniputta, when questioned by Venerable Sariputta, said that the goal of the holy life is not for the purification of virtue, or the purification of the mind, or the purification of view, or the purification of doubt, or the purification of knowledge and vision of what is and what is not the path, or the purification of knowledge and vision of the way, or the purification of knowledge and vision. Instead, the holy life is lived for the sake of total unbinding through lack of clinging, a state which is achieved through the purification of all the earlier stages mentioned above. We can see from here that the first stage is for the perfection of virtues or sila, and the second stage is for the perfection of concentration or samadhi, while the next 5 stages are for the perfection of wisdom, Panna. In other words, the bulk of the holy life is the cultivation of the mind, which culminates in the attainment of wisdom and the destruction of the asavas. It is here that the 10 fetters that bind us to the cycle of samsara are gradually destroyed and eliminated, beginning with 1. The elimination of identity view, attachment to rites and rituals, and doubt about the triple gems, followed by 2. Attenuation, and 3. Eventual elimination of attachment to sense desires and ill will, and finally to 4. The eliminations of desire to be reborn in the material and immaterial realms, and the eliminations of conceit, restlessness, and ignorance. This progression of eliminations of the fetters corresponds to the progression of the Arya's achievements, that is, 1. The Sotapanna or stream enterer, 2. The Sakadagami or once returner, 3. The Anagami or non-returner, and 4. The Arahant. Another way of looking at the entirety of this progressive path from ignorance to enlightenment is shown in Upanishad Sutta in Samyutta Nikaya 12.23 on the prerequisites for ending of the effluence or the asavas. Quote, Monks, the ending of the effluence is for one who knows and sees, I tell you, not for one who does not know and does not see. For one who knows what and sees what is there the ending of the effluence. Such is form, such is origin, such is disappearance. Such is feeling, such its origin, such its disappearance. Such is perception, such its origin, such its disappearance. Such are fabrications, such their origin, such their disappearance. Such is consciousness, such its origin, such its disappearance. The ending of the effluence is for one who knows in this way and sees in this way. The knowledge of ending in the presence of ending has its prerequisite, I tell you. It is not without a prerequisite. And what is the prerequisite for the knowledge of ending? Release, it should be said. Release has its prerequisite, I tell you. It is not without a prerequisite. And, and what is its prerequisite? Dispassion, followed by disenchantment. Then knowledge and vision of things as they actually are present. Then concentration. Then pleasure. Then serenity. Then rapture. Then joy. Then conviction or faith. Then stress. Then birth. Then becoming. Then clinging. Then craving. Then feeling. Then contact. Then the sixth sense media, then name and form, then consciousness, then fabrications. Fabrications have their prerequisite, I tell you. They are not without a prerequisite. And what is their prerequisite? Ignorance, it should be said. Unquote. In this sutta, the Buddha begins with the final attainment ending of the effluence and leads us backward through dependent origination all the way to the root cause of our suffering, which is ignorance. Recollection of the Dhamma. The achievement of enlightenment is possible only with the twin power of samatha, concentration, and vipassana, insight. According to the glossary in accesstoinsight.org website, vipassana means clear intuitive insight into physical and mental phenomena as they arise and disappear, seeing them for what they actually are, in and of themselves, in terms of the three characteristics, and in terms of stress, its origin, its disbanding, and the way leading to its disbanding. In the Mahasatipatthana Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya number 22, sati is specifically focused at four objects: body or kaya, feelings or vedana, mind or citta, and dhamma. The objects for recollections of the Dhamma are the 5 aggregates of clinging, the 6 sense bases of clinging, the 7 factors of enlightenment, the 4 noble truths, and the noble eightfold path. It might be useful to include here also the 3 characteristics of life, tilakkhana, and dependent origination. Thus, it is useful for us to take a closer look at some of these important topics.